welcome to the BullCast podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me today is Court Winsett.
Hello, Katie.
And Cameron Spann.
Hello.
Hello. 2026. We're here. We're staying, I guess.
I mean,
Like on Earth?
Yeah.
I don't know where else we would go.
There's no place like home.
Speaking of that, have y'all seen the film Begonia?
No.
Okay, you should check it out with Emma Stone. Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I watched the last movie that she did, same director that she did Begonia with. And
I didn't see the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
That looked
Oh, is
weird.
that
It
the-
was weird.
Begonia's good.
Are you talking about the one that
Normal.
was kind of filmed real funky and she was...
She's like a baby in an adult's body, right?
She was like a Frankenstein, basically.
Yeah, that movie was real weird. There were some really weird scenes. Okay, moving on. So 2026, we said we were going to kind of go back again to some of the basics because there's lots of topics we've hit. We're going to hit 300 episodes very, very soon.
Soon.
And so it's kind of going back, and we have more knowledge behind our belts now. Knowledge behind our belts.
Behind our belts.
I don't know.
Our belts hide many things.
That's what, I mean, this morning in an internal meeting, this was not in front of clients. I made some comment about, biting butts. And I'm like, that sounded weird. I was just trying to talk about I don't know. Y'all, my phrases are all over the place.
Yeah. I can't recall for sure, but I think maybe you were talking about biting the bullet.
Yeah, I
But
think
it
that's what
came
I
out,
said.
bite the
Bite the butt. I am not encouraging to my staff or to anyone listening to go around and bite butts.
No.
Although I have learned that at some point my conversation's going to start being with the boys, like, are they biters or not? Like, that's a thing that I'm not looking forward to.
I don't know. I guess I was fortunate. I didn't have any biters.
We did not, but you'll get a lot of calls when they're 3, 4, 5.
I mean,
Somebody
Griffin-
bit your kid, and it's exciting. It's like, my kid didn't bite anyone, so that's fine.
Griffin bit my nose this morning. So, I mean, now he still doesn't have any teeth, but it it hurt.
Yeah, biters are frowned upon. That's really bad in daycare.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's how you
get kicked out of
got all the
daycare.
combinations that parents hate because it's passing germs, it's potentially
Yeah.
bleeding. It's,
Okay.
So we've got a lot of stuff under our belt. So that's what we were saying.
We have
under
a
the
lot
belt.
of stuff under our belt. So we want to go back to some of the more simple, basic, the things that honestly, when I meet with clients, you've got 80% chance I'm probably going to mention some of these things. That's what these next several episodes over this year is really going to be, is peppering in new stuff going on, but also kind of going to the basics. So this is mutual funds. Mutual funds is definitely something we've done several episodes about them before. But today, we're going back. We're going to talk a lot about market trends and headlines all the time, but it's going to be the basics here. We're starting with one of the most common investment tools out there, mutual fund. What they are, why do many people own them, how do you make money with them, and what you should know before investing. Let's break it down.
Okay, but
And my sass and my humor is going to probably be only funny to me this year because I am so sleep deprived from these boys. But let's go with our list. Take it away, Cortland, please, and save me from myself.
Okay, little bit of a stretch, but I get they're coming from on this list. The list is our favorite ensemble casts, because much like a mutual fund, an ensemble cast is a collection actors that all contribute to the ultimate goal, blah, blah, blah. So who are the favorite ensemble casts out there? And we'll kick off the list with one that just wrapped everything up. And truly pretty much an ensemble cast. I mean, there wasn't a particular standout star from this show. Stranger Things.
Great show. Love it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
No notes.
No,
No
I
notes.
mean,
I still have to finish the last season, but I would say, there's lots of main characters, but you could have different people you like.
I have been on my daughter about finishing it up because as soon as she gets done watching Stranger Things, we're cutting Netflix out of the rotation. Because
Come on, finish it.
Yeah.
I want to stop paying.
Yeah, exactly.
Next on the list, no matter what you think of this show, it can be pretty polarizing. You have to agree it's a great ensemble cast. That would be Friends.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Airing in the 90s and going into the early 2000s. It's great. You got Jennifer Aniston. You've got
Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox, yep.
Matt
David
LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, who of course
keep
is
going.
now tragically passed away, and then David Schwimmer, and not to forget Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
And then you got Seinfeld,
Yeah.
another big cast.
That was really the core four was Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, and George Costanza. I mean, I don't know if you can tell by the tone of my voice, but this isn't a show that I actually get real excited about.
It was before my time. I've never watched.
Yeah,
I think I've watched 2 episodes.
Massive. It was massive when it was originally airing, but I just was never as big a fan of the show. But yeah, it was definitely huge. And then next on the list is The Office. which I think also, for those of us in the room that have watched it, it is a great example of an ensemble cast.
I mean, like Friends and Seinfeld, The Office you can pick up anywhere. It won't quite affect your view of the show. You don't have to know a whole lot of background to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Great show. All right, moving on would be The Sopranos.
This was pretty much Tony Soprano's show.
Yeah.
Yes, there were supporting characters.
Colorful
but it
characters.
Was, it was a focus on
So
Tony Soprano.
why don't we throw Cheers in there instead of The Sopranos? Because Cheers is not on this list. I would say Cheers was an ensemble cast.
Yeah, Ted Danson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, anything in that sort of genre, that sort of group at a pub kind of genre. So How I Met Your Mother, Community, Parks and Rec.
We'll even go back to like MASH. MASH was an ensemble cast.
Sure, yeah. I mean, so there are all kinds of things out there. Part of the reason that I'm kind of hemming on this is because you're about to say another one that I'm not sure I buy it as ensemble. My thought of an ensemble is that there's no real...
They've got Mad Men on this list. But no, it's Don Draper. Don Draper is the main character. I would throw Criminal Minds as an ensemble cast because yes, you may have your favorite, but it's them together. And and I think an example of that is, which goes into our episode, honestly, is can these shows survive? So Criminal Minds example, like this is one of my favorites, but they've had this NCIS. So NCIS, you've always had Gibbs, but then different people would switch out. Criminal Minds, you'd have Hotch, but then it would switch and go through all these different people. And even like the Hotch character was replaced.
Yes.
So if a show can have the show integrity continue, but some of the players change out.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is some of these is, like Stranger Things, like Friends, it kind of kept the core throughout the entire show. Yeah. But and we're not talking about when sitcom TV tries to switch it out, like, oh, the daughter has now changed actresses. Like, no, I'm talking about like physically the characters switch in and switch out. Like I was going to say the Jessica Day, what is that?
I don't know.
New Girl. New Girl is kind of an ensemble cast as well.
Yeah.
And they'll switch out the roommates, for instance. But okay, let's just get into this. We've gone down all these rabbit holes.
Okay.
So a great ensemble show doesn't fall apart when one character has a bad storyline or has to leave. So this is called diversification. So a mutual fund. A mutual fund is an SEC registered open-end investment company that pulls money from many investors. Huh?
Yeah. No, that made sense to me. Totally, 100% sense.
So there's some jargon in that.
Yeah. The best way to really, really simplify the concept is basically to say, instead of you going out and saying, I want to buy enough different stocks on my own that I can diversify my portfolio and diminish the amount of risk that I'm exposed to by diversifying. I want to just buy a share of something that is already diversified.
So let me specify with this because I had this situation come up recently. Diversification. When we say diversification, that is not all your eggs in one basket. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to diversify that one account is at one bank and one's with one advisor and one's with another advisor. You don't have to necessarily diversify between the location of your asset holders.
Right.
But when we say diversification, what we're talking about is that you don't have all of your money in one position.
One security. One particular kind of security.
And when we say security, we're meaning, because we're going real basic with this. When we say security, we are meaning, is it in an individual stock? Is it in a mutual fund? Is it an ETF? What type of security is it in? A lot of people would have to create this on their own. They would have to then say, here are the 15 stocks that I really like. I'm taking my $100,000 and spreading it between these 15 stocks. So then you're doing it yourself or you're working with an advisor. You're picking what stocks you like. And then that's on you or your advisor to make sure you buy more of or sell out of as these stocks change, as you get income in the form of a dividend from these and then have the opportunity to reinvest or not. For an example, if you had the same 15 stocks, but then one of them was paying you a dividend, then your weight between how it's balanced is going to be off because now one's getting more because you're reinvesting the dividends. So take it or leave it. Everybody learns in different ways, but how I've been explaining it to clients recently in just a very basic is you picture a table, and here's your table. This is Katie's mutual fund. And so on my table, I'm going to have 30 different stocks in here that I have put into this mutual fund. As Court said before, instead of you trying to handpick 15 stocks, you're picking one and you're saying, okay, I want to invest in Katie's mutual fund. This is not a real thing, y'all, but Katie's mutual fund is all of these stocks that are on my table, but I am then going to take on which players should be on the table and which should come off. If one's not doing as well, take back the weight I have in that one. So it kind of goes back to when we were talking about the TV shows. There's a character that's really doing well, then we're going to keep giving them more episodes. We're going to keep giving them more attention. If there's one that's not doing well with the audience, they're going to get less roles. They're going to have less lines, and they may end up getting written off the show. So a stock could get written off of the mutual fund. So I'm trying to bring it back here. But what I like about it is that you are picking a fund manager. You're picking a group that is managing something and saying, okay, I like what you are selling. So you sit there and go, okay, well, how do I pick? Well, mutual funds are going to have different, what am I trying to say? Objectives.
Yeah.
So if you're saying, I want my money to have an income, or I want it to have growth, there's income mutual funds, there's growth and income mutual funds, there's more aggressive ones. So there's a range of different options that you can pick from. And there's ones that are specified of, in different sectors, different industries, all of that. So there truly are a ton of different options, and you can diversify by having a mutual fund. And then you're not having to be the one watching your accounts, making sure, oh, this stock just plummeted. Now what do I need to do and how do I need to replace it? You're entrusting that fund manager to then make those decisions for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So low minimum investment.
It's not going to take you as much to really, really reach sort of maximum spectrum of investments, but for a relatively low amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do get more bang for your buck in that. And it's the risk aspect of it, because if you handpicked the stocks yourself, then the risk is on you of, did you pick the right ones, or whoever you're working with? Did you pick the right ones? Timing the market appropriately to do this versus choosing to get a mutual fund. You're entrusting somebody else to be in charge of buying and selling when they need to and doing things like that. Liquidity. Mutual fund investors can readily sell their shares back to the fund at the next calculated asset value on any business day, minus any redemption fees. So obviously there's, little transaction fees here and there that you need to be aware of. But think about it that way. It's liquid. I have this. If I need to sell out of it, I can sell out of it. If you had the same amount in the 15 different securities, you're then having to hand pick, okay, well, I need some money. Do I sell this stock? Do I sell that stock? And you're at the mercy of what is the stock price at that day. Mm-hmm. That's something to think about. So what's actually inside of a mutual fund? The fund,
many things.
The funds hold many investments called holdings. The investors own shares of the mutual fund, not the individual stocks and bonds directly, which I've had this conversation come up recently. And we've touched on it before, but there is a difference between how you invest and then making sure you're socially responsibly investing and you're going with your moral compass. And so, for instance, if somebody really didn't like a certain company, then the question about mutual funds is brought up. So I've told people, look, let's say you hate BullCast podcast.
Well,
stock.
I think the easiest example.
I don't know. I don't want to use a real company. I'm trying to think.
There are several examples out there right now that there are certain socially responsible investors who are avoiding those companies.
Yeah,
I think you can.
Yeah, you can guess who we're talking about. Yeah. They don't like these people, and so they don't want to participate. They don't want to benefit these people because let's go back to this. When you own a stock, you are an owner. So you own a share of a stock, you are a owner. Now, doesn't mean you can roll up to the headquarters and be like, I'm an owner, I want to speak to you. You're a very small percentage more than likely. And so, but you do have options of voting, things like that, depending on the spectrums of it. Again, I'm trying not to go down too many rabbit holes. So yes, if you didn't like somebody and you personally own their stock, then yes, you are contributing towards their company. But in a mutual fund, you can get the benefit of that company's growth but you do not own that stock. You own the mutual fund. You do not own the individual stock, which has two sides to it, because yes, you're going to get the benefit of the growth, but then it's also if a stock was to split, if a stock was to start, offering dividends, things like that, like you're not necessarily getting that because you're getting just the mutual fund.
Mm.
So there's two sides to every story with this. Okay. So the value of your share is the net asset value.
Mm-hmm.
It's calculated once per day after the market closes.
Now, that's one thing that people have. One of the major differentiators between, say, a mutual fund, which we're all familiar with, and a lot. What is the investment vehicle that is currently all the range would be exchange traded funds, or ETFs, and that's a different kind of sort of conglomerated investment vehicle that you can invest in. The difference is its shares are traded on, as the name suggests, the exchange. Whereas mutual fund, you basically wait till the end of the day, close a market. They calculate the NAV, or net asset value, as Katie said. And then, if you wanted to sell out of your position in that mutual fund, you're going to get whatever the price was at the close of.
Are there actual people calculating these things when market closes, or is it like a computer algorithm that's just kind of automated? Do y'all know?
I mean, I'm sure it's mostly automated.
Yeah,
I would think it would be automated.
There's not little elves behind the stock ticker.
But I mean, there are people that are monitoring all of this stuff every day. That's their whole job. they just
I've been talking really heavily on the stock mutual funds, which is one of the main types of mutual funds, mostly invested in stocks or equities. It represents an ownership interest in a company and proportional shares in the company's assets and profits, usually long-term growth. Can be large cap, mid cap, small cap.
You're just throwing all kinds of jargon out there.
All the caps. We'll do an episode really explaining that. But as you can guess, large cap, mid cap, small cap is going to be the size of the different companies
based on their market capitalization, which is what
the cap means.
That's where the cap comes from. And so a large cap company is going to be a bigger cap. A bigger company that has a larger market capitalization, which basically is how many shares do they have out there outstanding that people own, and what are they worth?
So the large fish, the mid fish, and the small fish. Growth versus value, domestic versus international, and then different sectors, tech, healthcare, all of that. We kind of touched on that. The other type of fund that's out there is bond mutual fund. This is going to be bonds, as it sounds. And this is going to be a type of mutual fund that you're going to look at more for stability, for income, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're needing income or not, you could still have this as part of your portfolio. That's where it's not uncommon for somebody to have a bond mutual fund and a stock mutual fund in their same overall portfolio, because again, it's diversifying among what works best for you. But again, talk to your financial advisor, figure out what's best for each individual.
And we covered bonds early on. Remember, it was episode 007?
Oh, yeah.
Bonds, explain bonds.
And you got government bonds and corporate bonds and mutual bonds and high yield bonds and barbecue shrimp and coconut shrimp. And we're not doing Bubba Gump. My bad. Lots of different bonds out there.
Yeah. So you can definitely pick a fund that focuses on a particular kind of bond, or that has a particular strategy, matches the strategy that you're pursuing. It's there are so many options out there.
Well, we got another types of funds, target date funds. Now, I have often referred to these as the 401k easy button, because most people's first introduction to investing is a 401k, and they usually are pushed in front of them and saying, hey, you need to sign up for this, do this. If you've got somebody who's really good with the company, they're going to tell you, they're going to explain it further to you. This is your match. This is what you should contribute to. But where a lot of it falls short is how to invest. And it's because obviously that HR person who's telling you what you need to contribute and how that works isn't allowed to talk to you about how to invest it. And a lot of times there's not great relationships between who's managing the 401ks and the individual, or there's just not that communication. So a lot of times what we hear from people who have 401ks is like, oh, well, this person told me to invest it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So a target date fund is, as it sounds, there is a target, there's a set date. So a lot of times what happens is it'll say, okay, you're going to retire in 2060. So we're going to do a mutual fund that is a target date of 2060. And that account is going to be allocated with the goal in mind that you are going to retire in 2060. Now,
for the record, I'll be dead in 2060.
I just picked a date. So it's going to go off of kind of the old school thinking that as you get closer to retirement, you go more into preservation mode, meaning you go much more conservative, which conservative is more bond income, things like that. So this target date fund is going to act that way. So somebody who is young, it's going to be a little bit more aggressive. As they get closer to that target date, the 2060, it's going to get more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
That is how that functions. It is not taking into consideration how somebody else has their other stuff invested, that they're going to not be the norm and retire at 65. They're going to retire at 80. So it truly is just that, hey, I need to invest. Click that easy button.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, that is, there's lots of other parameters with that, but that's my thoughts on that.
Well, and then obviously, especially the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years, we've heard a lot more about money markets.
Yes, money market
funds. That's another kind of fund that we might put you in.
Yeah, liquid, short-term debt securities, cash equivalents, preserves cash, and it's often used as a cash parking spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the biggest thing with inflation. You want to make sure your money is working for you and working hard for you. There's an example where the money market, the target date, the stock, the bond, that one person could have all of these in a portfolio and that they could diversify among all of these mutual funds that are diversifying.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really just kind of building all your different layers and making sure that all your accounts are kind of working in tandem together and not working against each other. So how do you earn money from mutual funds? So dividend payments, or I like to call them kickbacks. Some holdings pay. It's kind of a little kickback. Here you go. Here's a little.
I know, but kickback has a particularly negative and
I don't think it's
connotation.
negative.
It's a phrase that, or a term that I prefer to avoid when I know that our conversations are going to be listened to by compliance.
Well, I guess I've tried to change when I'm talking to people, because people don't hear the word dividend.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, dividend. And I'll be like, it's kind of like, oh, here's a little kickback. Here's that, which, okay, yes, from a compliance standpoint, I can hear how that sounds bad. When I'm trying to make sure I'm talking to everybody who is not in our jargon world, it is that you've got this stock, this account, this, whatever it may be, that for different parameters is setting up that they're going to pay a little extra each month, each quarter, each year, whatever it may be, then you're getting the benefit of that. So mutual funds then would distribute those to the shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little something extra. A lanyap.
Yeah.
We're approaching Mardi Gras. Lanyap.
It's a little extra. A little extra at the top. We're just really, making it fun. Capital gains. So when a fund sells a security that has an increase in price, the fund has a capital gain. Mm-hmm. At the end of the year, the fund distributes these capital gains minus any losses to investors. And then, it's going to then increase in value based on the holdings, based on the asset value. If you profit, you sell shares for more than you paid for. So a lot of times mutual funds will not have a ton of change in them to the day to day. Like there's some out there that are on the more conservative side that may change by pennies each day. And so that's where it's really to kind of look at, similar like you would a stock, of where did it open, where did it close, but mutual funds know they're going to be a little different. You can't just sit there and watch it throughout the day go up and down. Because as we talked about before, aftermarket. Fees and expenses. The part people ignore. So expense ratio, the ongoing annual fee, because obviously kind of consider like Court's upset with Netflix and wanting to cancel his Netflix because of the fees, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Then there is a fee to hire somebody essentially to manage this for you, because that's what's happening is you're entrusting in this mutual fund company to do it for you.
Well, you said earlier, you're looking at funds and you're deciding which funds you want to buy based on the fund manager. If you pick a particular fund manager who is actively managing that mutual fund and making purchase and sell decisions every day and actively trying to perform better than the market is performing, then usually your fee for an actively managed fund like that is going to be higher than your fee would be if you were in a passive fund, something that was just trying to match a particular index.
Absolutely. And so that's, reading the fine print. All of these different mutual funds have fact sheets that lay it all out there. As you've heard us say before, we are a very compliant industry. So you as the investor need to ask all these questions and understand how do these fees apply. There's can be very different ones in there, like sales load, which are front end or back end, less common now. I'm not even going to dive into all of that, but that's just another fee. Distribution or 12B1 fees, which is the marketing and service fee. But we all are aware of those little fees that are in there if you go and buy concert tickets or airline tickets, or even going to the grocery store or a restaurant. You sit there and see like tax, and you're like, well, now there's like a random COVID fee that's still around 5 years later. Read the fine print, because where fees can come into an issue. If you say, oh, I've got $1,000 I wanted to put into this mutual fund, how much of that $1,000 is then going to be taken up by fees? Because it's, $1,000, okay, a little bit. But if somebody only has $100, then is there even enough to then get into the mutual fund? There's so many different things to look at with that. So if you're choosing a mutual fund, there are different mutual funds that have different price points for initial investment. So for example, there may be one that you have to have $1,000 to buy in for the first time. But if you were doing dollar cost averaging, anybody remember what that was? Anybody? Bueller? Okay, sorry. If you were adding money monthly and you wanted to buy into this, you don't, for some of them, you don't necessarily have to have that $1,000 again. You could then buy in as easy as, $100, $50, whatever they structure it as, but as long as you had that initial investment. So that's another thing to look at is, what are you wanting to buy today, but what are you also continually wanting to do? And dollar cost averaging, especially in a mutual fund, is great, because then you're just continuing to buy more shares into that big pool, that big table with all these different investments on the table. So what's your goal? Growth, income, stability, or a mix? What's your time horizon? When do you need this money? What does it need to be doing? How much are you willing to tolerate volatility? That's the other thing. Are you going to freak out when it's going up and down? How's that going to go? And then expense ratio, lower is generally better, right? I mean, yes. Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Oh, callback to early BullCast.
Callback. Is the fee you're paying worth the return that you're going to be getting? That's something to look at. Performance versus benchmark, looking at the long term, not last year. Is it active? Is it index? Is it passive? What are the ins and outs of this? What is happening here? As with everything in the investment world, there's a lot to it. It's not a simple, everybody go buy this mutual fund and you'll be happy. No, it doesn't work that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Lots of details to figure out, but they're a great fundraising tool. They're a great funding tool for your investments, and probably a great fundraising tool for a nonprofit, I guess. I don't know. Sorry, compliance. Don't quote me on that one. Okay, I've just gone off on a tizzy. Hopefully you understand what a mutual fund is now. I feel like I have said a lot. I think I need to bullseye this and be done.
Go take a nap.
Go take a nap, have some more caffeine. But yes, bullseyeing this. Bullseye. We're done. I'm done. Just talk, Court.
Just do a bullseye. Just give him a little bullseye. Just a little bully it up.
Mutual fund. Think about it as buying into an option that is going to pick for you different investments and keep you diversified. And it's really, can be a great bang for your buck if it makes sense with your objectives.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there's the closing bell. You've made it to the end of yet another episode of the BullCast podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast delivered directly to your device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cortland, Katie, Cameron, or Nicole, please feel free to go to our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. We've got pictures up there. We've got our bios so you can read about us, and we've got a place where you can drop a comment or suggest a topic you'd like to hear us talk more about. But hey, I mentioned pictures. We do have an Instagram handle where you can see many, many more pictures. That Instagram handle is at BullCast Podcast. We also have an X handle, which is at BullCast Podcast as well. And rounding out the social media, we have a Facebook page, which is BullCast the Podcast. But as I am wont to do every single episode, let me remind you that Katie, Court, Cameron, and Nicole all work for a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you'd like to find out even more information about us, or find out about what we do, find out about what we could do for you, find out about our amazing team, or find out about our boss, David Pickler, please feel free to go to that website. That website is picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have given you everything you need to know to go out and
Put the fun back in mutual funds.
there you go.
Yeah.
So for now,
I'm Court,
I'm Katie.
I'm Cam.
and we're done.